Hi there. I'm Debz Shakti. I'm a professional quantum hypnotherapist and a channeler, among many other things. And I would love to introduce you to my dear friend, Mark Valentine, who also is a channeler. And he channels many beings who go under the umbrella of the main entity he channels called the Soul Creator. But Mark likes to call himself a soul creational channel because there are so many facets of this. I hope that you'll enjoy this little taste of what he does. I find this information fascinating, and it fills me with wonder and delight when I listen to it. Makes my heart sing. I hope you enjoy as much as I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Debz.
You're welcome.
And the work begins with the mind asking you, Mark, to rest. Jeez.
Oh, I love it. Oh, and to rest means to listen, and to listen means to learn, right?
It does.
Yeah.
My journey has been all about getting out of the way, and I still struggle with that today. I listen together with whatever's in my mind, and I try to listen passively and let the work be the work, and not let the work be what I want the work to be. So that's the constant. That's the constant challenge of me and maybe other people having the same channeling experience.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that really is. That really is it is the challenge of the channeler to get out of the way and not interfere.
Yes.
But the information that comes from those higher places is coming through your mind. And so it's colored by the flavoring of how you present. It's not colored by your own thoughts, if you can get out of the way. So I love that aspect,
Yeah. And what my challenge is becoming a channel. First of all, I didn't know I was becoming a channel. I knew I wasn't. I knew I wasn't the me I thought I knew, and I didn't know the new me that I had not come to understand. So I was somewhere between that, and I've spent many years trying to reconcile the two, but they're not reconcilable. It's because that's the mind trying to partition what it knows against versus what it doesn't know. So I'm very
exactly.
So it's you let it be, you let it become what it will, and you just in effect try to learn and hopefully enjoy part of the ride. But for me, not a lot, but there were times where it was painful, where my ego had to learn to let go, but also my personality had to learn to accept what I call a visitor in my mind, which was a soul presence that came into my mind, and my mind immediately went into rejection mode.
Sure.
And I've channeled about that and in writing, and basically it said there was a visitor that came into my mind. My mind rejected the visitor because it didn't understand, didn't know who the visitor was. It was a foreign object, came into my mind, a foreign belief. But after that, what I call struck by lightning experience, I began to find some wonder in that. So, and then little bits of wonder here and there, but trauma also, because there's a shift in consciousness, and it doesn't happen with the snap of a finger. It doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't
it's an
happen.
Evolution.
It doesn't happen with going to a lecture. It doesn't happen to sitting in meditation. Although meditation is a path to learn to let go and to let that experience happen of its own accord. What I like about our friendship and our relationship, Debz, our minds can interact here, but our minds are interacting multidimensional. So we were really having a group hug, a group conversation, and that's fun. I get, in my experience, I get feelings in my body that are basically like a telephone ringing, like your cell phone beeping at you. So I'm getting a call, if you will, right now, and I'm just going to answer that call and see what I'm doing. the soul of a mind created to know the world. It's the soul I call the mind of love. I come into the work and I bring the work, the mind, but I bring the mind the story of the world. For what is the world but all things believing in the mind, all things believing in the soul, all things believing that a mind can come into a life and bring the soul into the mind. For what is bringing the soul into the mind? But the mind of love is in the world, bringing all things together in the world, bringing you and you and you and you, Debz, and you, Mark, together. For what is the idea of love? Come together. What is the idea that's in love? Believe in the world. And the world says to the mind, who are you? And the mind says to the world, I don't know. I just don't. And the world says to the mind, I know. And the world said to your mind, listener, I know. For what is in the world but the mind of love? And that is the mind that's in the story. But what is the story that's in the mind of love but the story of man? And I bring you, listener, the story of man. For I call my mind Ambriel. I am the angelic mind. I believe in the world, and the world I teach the way of man. For what is man but you, you, you? I say you are man. What is in the world? Mankind, mankind. What is mankind? The kind of a man learning to see the belief that's in the world. Mankind becoming man. For what is man but a man knowing only one thing? Love. And what is man teaching in the world? Mind, love. And what do you have in your mind? Mind, love. And what is mind, love in the world? But I am listening in your mind, said the mind, love of Mark. And I am in the world, teaching the world who I am. For I am mind, love of Mark. I call that the minded love. And in Mark's mind, there is love. And what comes into this voice is the love of the mind, teaching the love that's in the world. And the love that's in Mark's mind is the love calling to you, listener, saying to you, love the world, but love the way that's in your mind. And we bring that way into your life. And we call that way the way of soul. And the way of soul is knowing the life that you are living. For what you live in the world is the life not knowing itself. For what is you but a life? What is your life but a way? And what is a way but a way for your mind to believe in your life and for your life to believe in your soul? That is the real you, the mind, the soul, and the life, the minded soul life. Let us begin in the story of love, bringing the minded soul life into the world. Who teaches who, says Mark. And Mark's mind says, I am Mark's mind, and I teach Mark the story of the world. But Mark's mind said this to itself. Oh, oh, oh. For in Mark's mind, there is an idea. The idea is oh. What is oh but the way a mind can learn to teach itself? For oh is a mind of love, calling itself oh, calling itself the oh belief. For we will call the oh belief, the oh mind of love. And in this story, teaching love, we will begin to tell you about the oh mind of love. It's teaching you today that oh is in your mind. Oh is in your minded life. Oh is in your minded soul. Oh is in the minded life that's listening in the world. For what is in all minds listening in the world, I say the mind of love. And what is in the mind of love that brings you into the world, I say the belief in the mind of love. And for what does the mind of love say to you, listener? Believe in you, but believe the story that's in your mind. For you know not that story, but that story begins with your soul, who sees the mind of love and sees that in you. For what does your soul say today to you? I know you. And what do you say to your soul? I know not you, for you know not the story that's in my mind. For your soul says to your mind, I know not you because your story is telling me another idea. So your soul, listener, has this idea today. I'm in the mind of love. I teach the story of love. I am the soul of creation, believing in the mind of love. But what is it I bring into your mind, listener, but the soul of creation? And what is in the soul of creation but you? And what am I teaching you today but that idea that your soul can learn to believe in the mind, and that your mind can learn to see the soul, and that the soul and mind together can learn to create a new world, a new paradigm, a new idea that says to the world, my soul, my mind together will teach the world the idea that it is love. The mind alone, no. The soul alone, no. The life alone, no. The soul mind life together, teaching the world the idea. We listen together. We love together. We are together. For what is the together idea but know thyself? And what is the self that's in your mind? The self of teaching the world the way the world can learn. It can learn in the soul, and the soul can believe in the mind, but the soul and the mind together can see the self. Well, what is the self but the mind coming into the soul, and the soul teaching the mind, and together the soul, mind, self. For what is in you but the self? And the self sees the mind, the self knows the soul, and the self brings the mind into the soul so that the soul can see the mind of love. All that's been said is the mind learning to believe in the self. Mark's mind is learning. He knows not the self, but what is in his mind is teaching him today the self idea that's in the world. And the self idea for today is know thyself. Know thyself. Know thyself. For I bring to the world the self, and I bring to the world the mind, and I bring to the world the soul, mind, self. I will call my mind the self of Mark. And I see the mind of Mark, and I see the soul of Mark. So I bring it all together, and I call it Mark. I call it Mark. The soul, the mind, the self. Learning to teach love in the world. But there is a teacher in the self that calls itself the soul creator, who's bringing the self into the work. And the self is bringing the mind together with the soul in the work. And together, the teacher, the mind, the soul, the creation idea in the life you call your life. Let's begin today by asking you if you know the mind, your mind in the world, what you call your name. And that mind says to the world, I don't know the thing I am. For your mind to say, I don't know the thing I am. The mind that will finish is the mind calling itself the story of the world. And I am that story, and call me the creator of all there is. How can the creator of all there is teach something to a little mind running around the world, asking the world to tell it who it is? I say this to Mark, the O mind taught you the story of creation. And the story of creation is the mind believing in the soul, bringing the work into the life, saying to the world, believe in the work, believe in the mind, believe in the created mind. For what is the created mind but your life, creating itself in the world? You are the created life, for you are in creation calling to the world. And your created life says to you today, I know the creator of all there is. For that listens in my mind, hidden away in a place I do not know. For what we will ask that place to be in your mind today, the creator of all there is, who will say this to you today, I know you. I bring you this idea. I bring you to you. But the you I bring is the you of all there is. And I bring your soul. I bring your mind. I bring yourself all together into the way of all there is. And I do that in the story of teaching love. For I am that story, And I teach that story to the world. And I bring the world into a knowing idea. Know thyself. Believe thyself. Work thyself. Know thyself. That's the work. That's the idea. That's the way. Know the self. Know the mind. Know the soul. And know the creation idea in the world. Love, love, love.